Welcome
to the Bring Me to Life podcast.
It's time to wake up
and shine on.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bring Me to Life podcast. We are up to 180 episodes now, and today I am joined by Shannon Shine.
What up out there, light beings? I hope you're having a great day.
Yes, hope you're having a great day. Hope you are waking up and shining on. And today we're talking about signs. We're talking about symbols and codes, all kind of a very similar word, and we have some good experiences with this, some personal experiences that we'll share. And yeah, what do you think about this topic? Are you excited?
I think this is such an important topic, and it's something that...
My bad.
Was I muted this whole time?
Yeah.
Psh. Hi, humans. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're waking up and shining on, as Sela said. Man.
Thanks, everybody, for being so understanding, and technical difficulties happen.
That's what happens when we do these live, but
sometimes they could be a sign too,
hey, we've been doing these live because you guys seem to enjoy it. You like to hop into the chat at bringmetolife.com/podcast on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. if you're listening to this in the replay. Thanks for time traveling with us. I hope you're having a great day. But yeah, so signs and symbols. I think this is such an important topic because it's something that people ask me about all the time. And being somebody who does soul readings, soul sessions for people, I get a lot of signs and symbols. And people will ask me all the time, like, how did you start getting them? And I think it was just, I was always getting them, but I learned how to accept them and communicate with them in a different way.
Yeah, when I was younger, I would say that when signs and symbols came up, I wouldn't really think too much about it, more like feel. And now I'm kind of getting to the point where it's like, we're starting to be more conscious of them. And we're learning more about them. We're doing the work to study them, because as a kid, it's not like I was like, that was a sign. I need to learn all about it. I need to find out what it meant. Like, it was just like that. Oh, that was a cool bird flying by,
Well, not even just that. I think we were more in tune as children. A lot of us just kind of accepted messages from the universe. But again, like you said, we didn't realize they were necessarily messages, or maybe not all of us did. For me, I go way back into seeing different signs and symbols because that's how I communicate with spirit in general. But I definitely know what you're saying, because so many people through their teenage years typically are kind of programmed to not acknowledge those types of things unless they're in a religious background, and then it's like a sign from God. But I think what we're trying to tap into today's discussion is more signs that the universe is listening and working with you. And I particularly like to work with signs from angels or energies that are just inspiring for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that you said inspiring, because I think one of the main benefits of signs and symbols is you can ask for a sign of something. So if you're uninspired, or maybe you're trying to do something like a podcast or something, and it just seems really overwhelming, and maybe you get to the point where it's like, should I even be doing this? It's so frustrating. Like, I'm trying to do my thing, whatever it might be. You can ask for, a sign or maybe some kind of symbol on should I keep going with this? And, sometimes something will pop up. Like, I'll ask a question and I'll look around and see if I see a yes, if I see a no, if I see a thumbs down, a thumbs up. Those would be more like symbols. And I think it helps, a lot, because we can get down on ourselves. So asking for like some outside confirmation, can be helpful. It's like getting a reading.
Yeah, it's important to try to communicate with the spirit around you. I guess it's important if that's something you're trying to do. Some people, they like to live their life and just not be in communication with the world around them, and that's fine. But for me, it's powerful because when I am not paying attention to the signs around me, I sometimes lose hope in existence. Being somebody who shares a lot of light, I've also been through a lot of darkness. And there's been a lot of dark times in my life where I did kind of turn off the ability to see the signs around me. And those were times that I would often, lose track of where my life was going, or I wasn't necessarily on the path I wanted to be on. And then something would happen. There would be some sort of triggering event, and I would just be like, there were a couple times I hit rock bottom, and I was like, universe, like, if you really want me to exist and to do something magnificent out here, give me a sign and show me what I'm supposed to do. And honestly, almost every time I've made that statement to the universe, something wild happens and I go on some sort of adventure. Like when I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my art, and then I ended up having an art gallery for several years, and there was a time I dreamed about the space we were in when we started the first Phoenix Landing. I kept thinking that we needed a space, and then I had a dream about a specific space, and then I said, well, if this is supposed to be, send me a sign. And then I randomly got like an energy healing from somebody from England that was visiting Maryland, of all places, that same week, and they were staying at the person who owned that property's land. So talk about like a sign to be in the right place at the right time. Like synchronicities and things like that, they lead you to new opportunities. And I could have been that's about the time we were ready to like just sell our stuff, pack up and disappear and like go on a trip, but spirit wanted us here to activate something. And we went on that journey. And there's all kinds of different signs and things that you can receive. I talk about one in my chakra course and even my divine intention course a lot, where I wanted to know that the universe was still listening. Sometimes I go through these days where I'm just down and out, and I'm like, are you listening out there? Like, can you give me some sort of sign? And I know I tell this story a lot, but for those that are new here, I went and I like grabbed a notebook one day, and it was just like a random notebook, and Celia had been cleaning, and I'd gotten some stuff from like my childhood home. So I had like this little Lisa Frank looking journal next to my bed. And I just grabbed a random notebook and wrote in it, I want a sign, spirit, like show me a sign. And I wasn't sure exactly what kind of sign I wanted, but I just put the notebook away and felt like I would get a sign. And I had wanted to have like a white cat in my life. I was attracted to white cats for a long time. And then I went outside, and right around that time we saw this like white flash. And here there was a white cat that took off and had started living in the woods, and then soon after started living like under my porch. And it was such a wild experience for me. And I was like, maybe that's my sign. Like spirit knows that I'm like connected to this like sort of spiritual animal vibe. And then I was like, but I always kind of thought it would be like a white kitten, not like a full grown cat. And it turned out that cat ended up being pregnant and had white kittens. And not only that,
a bunch of white kittens. It
gets even funnier. The notebook that I had written it in was a notebook with a white cat on it, and it had kittens. It was like a mom and her kittens, and some of them were striped, which some of the cats that some of the kittens that this cat had were also striped. So it was like I couldn't have received a more on point sign to my call to the universe. Are you listening? Yes, it is listening.
Yeah, and I think I would like to touch on, that's a beautiful story, and I thank you for sharing. The point where you ask for a sign, you ask for this stuff, I think we should be careful what we wish for when we do these things. Because, warning, it can dramatically affect your life. And if you're not grounded and in a good space within yourself, it can really shake things up. So, warning for others out there.
Definitely. I think that's important. And to like take note of what you're thinking about when you receive these signs or when you're asking for them too. So like the white cat story is one I love to share because it was just such a significant, powerful moment for me. But another thing that a lot of people kind of deal with when they first start waking up is they start seeing like 1111 and all the angel numbers everywhere. And so often I find people in my inbox being like, what does it mean when you see 1111? What does it mean when you see 777 or 888?
Those are some codes.
Those are some like light codes. Like to me, it's like a binary code, but from the angels or from whatever spirit that you're connecting with. And I like to ask people like, well, what were you thinking when you started seeing those numbers? When you see that number over and over, what does it make you feel? And sometimes people will see certain numbers and it's like a warning sign. Like I have some number sequences that are warnings for me. And some of them are very personal, where other ones are more kind of collective consciousness, like the 1111 portal that we just went through, the 1111 portal.
Yeah.
And just energy like that. Did you know
1111 portal?
I'm sorry, I want to talk about that.
That was crazy. Yeah.
So did you know that Veterans Day is always on 11/11?
I just found that out this year.
But do you know why? Because World War I was ended on the 11th day at the 11th hour of the 11th month. So a war was ended at that moment. Imagine how powerful that was. It was like this 11/11 portal. It was like, we're done. World War I is done. And there's this like wave of energy that went through. I don't know. I thought it was pretty significant.
It is really, significant. That's a huge moment right there.
And it like ripples through time and space, and something that we're still like honoring. Just wild things like that, and dates and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
So powerful.
I like to think of the numbers as like, codes, messages that we can decipher. And people will hear the term numerology. That's a lot of what people call it when they start to study the sequence of numbers, the patterns of numbers, what they mean. So like a 1 could be like unity, 2 could be like balance and harmony, 3 could be like a holy trinity of mind, body, and spirit coming together.
Yeah, and 4 is typically structure and foundation and creating plans and things like that. 5 is typically change and uncertainty. Change, uncertainty, realignment. It can also mean realignment or like freedom. And 6 is typically like harmony and appreciation. And some people are really afraid of like the 666, but really that number can mean like other things, because in the angelic practice it means like harmony, appreciation. It's a good time for self-love and loyalty. Yeah,
I mean, they can hijack some symbols and
definitely codes. And then 7 is spirituality and awareness and like mastery, like 7 in heaven and success. When I see 777, I think it is a message from heaven. 8's like infinite power and authority and strength
and growth.
Definitely growth. 9 is like the completion and like an ending to a transition or an understanding, and then it kind of like starts the cycle over. And 0 is also kind of like an infinite number, like the beginning. So it's pretty powerful what numbers can do. I know when I started getting into numerology, there's a sci-fi movie called The Knowing that was kind of trippy for me, because that girl just starts channeling all these numbers, and then I think it's Nicolas Cage ends up like finding out all these numbers mean all these crazy things that are happening around them, and it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, it is very powerful. So, and that's one of the reasons why I think some entities like to try to shift the perception of certain codes and symbols, like the number 666, and also the swastika, even with the Nazis before they took it over. It's seen in all these ancient architecture to be a sign of balance and harmony.
Yeah, and it's not even just numbers, like different, I mean, there's dates, and then there's times, and then there's numbers, but there's also like there's other like superstitious type things that have made signs and symbols kind of darker.
Like Friday the 13th?
Yeah, and black cats. Like most black cats I know are some of the sweetest cats.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they can be.
But they have this like energy to them that they've been created as a weird symbol for so many. But when I see them, I get really calm and comforted. And I don't know, it's just interesting how some people have different signs and symbols that are really like taunting, but then others are such powerful energies. Like you and I both share our owl. We have many a podcast where we talk about the owl signs and symbols and how they lead us to new adventures. And it's a powerful sign for many people.
Yeah, I like working with the animals as signs because it's just something that we as humans resonate with and connect with so easily. Like the elephant, I could just list off all these animals and people would be like, yeah, like I resonate with that. And it's because it's so easy for us to resonate with animals. So for a while, I was following a polar bear. I feel like we all have like a different totem and different kind of like guides that come in at different times when you need them. And I think it's great. I did follow the owl for a while. And when I finally got here, it was like the biggest owl. And I was like, okay, so that's probably a sign that this is going to be a good nest, because I think the owl was even in a nest. Yep. And it was, very symbolic, because I'm kind of nested up here. We got rid of the owl, but.
Oh, there's still many an owl. There's still many an owl around here.
Oh, the owl's still around here, bouncing around? Or?
I have my big wooden owl that I have displayed.
That was the biggest one, and then you also had another one that was in a nest.
Oh, yeah, that one was funny. That one has a funny story. So it was like a paper mache owl that I made in my senior year of college, and when I tried to destroy it, I was really frustrated because I created it when my grandma was really sick. And I walked out to like where the trash was, and I was going to throw it away, and I had this moment, and this is a sign. This was a sign that the owl wanted me to be smarter about my decisions. But I just went to I wanted to destroy this art piece. Every now and then as an artist, there's just a piece that you want to destroy. And I hate paper mache. I don't dislike many craft projects, but I do not like paper mache. And I went to throw it on the road to make it smaller because it was huge. And instead of it bursting like a piñata like I thought it would, it bounced back up and smacked me in the face. I was just like, what even just happened?
It's attacking you.
Yeah, I got attacked by the owl. But that's just one of many different signs. Owls are such powerful creatures. One night, me and you were sitting outside, and we were just wanting to be outside, but it was too cold and there were too many bugs. So we were sitting in my car just watching the moon. It was a full moon night. And the clouds were so mystical, and all of a sudden we just looked at the top of the house next to us, and there was this huge shadow of an owl there, just the silhouette of it. And once you were is that an owl? I went to look, and it took off and put its big old wings out, and it was just so majestic. And that was a turning point for us. We were at a turning phase. I think that's when we were closing the shop and transitioning to the home studio and doing so many different things, and we were just we need a sign, and there it was.
Yeah, that was such a magnificent moment, because you just look up and you can't really see the owl, but then the lightning strikes, and then all of a sudden you just see it full on, because that lightning's so bright. And it's just a flash of a vivid, detailed, real, big owl, and it's just that's such a movie moment. And to be there at that precise moment, we had to get in the car and hang out for the perfect amount of time in order for the owl to get there. Otherwise, we would have scared it away. And then for that lightning to strike at that exact time we were sitting there staring, that's a sign, that's a big sign when something like that comes together that's so unlikely. And those moments to me are just so beautiful, and I appreciate them, and I believe talking about them, and it kind of makes us more aware and conscious. And then when we become more aware and conscious, and we start to see them and call them out, then we can begin to kind of guide them and call more of them in if we're seeking.
And everybody receives their messages in different ways too. So like maybe not even just signs and symbols, but they're intuitive messages. So like we're talking about seeing animals and feeling things and like seeing numbers, but it can come, so like typically things like that are like more physical, on the physical level, but you can also receive your messages through like clairvoyance, which is like hearing and seeing it in a different way, like more inner. Well, clairaudience, I guess, is the more inner hearing, like a telepathic voice almost, or a download. And then clairsentience is when you feel it. So maybe you don't see the signs and symbols, but you feel them. You feel the gust of wind, or the wings wrapping around you, or something like that, is a sign that spirit's listening. Some people have clairalience. I think we talked about this one before, where they smell it. And they get a whiff of it. Sometimes I'll like want a reminder that like someone I love's around, and my grandma is probably the one that I get the most like clairalience about. There is like a certain smell to her makeup and her perfume and just her house, and every now and then I'll just get like the biggest whiff of it, and I'm just like, whoa, she's around. I feel you. What up, grandma? And it's just like such a powerful sign for me. And then like clairgustance means tasting. Sometimes you'll just like taste something, or maybe you'll crave it. Like earlier I was like craving fast food, even though I know it's terrible for me, and it was just like this thought, and it was almost like something my grandma had telepathically downloaded. Like again, that's what made me think of it. It was like her and I used to like go to fast food when I was a kid, and it was just like this thought, like obviously I don't want fast food, it's not going to make me feel good, but the download of what it tasted like as a kid was much different than what it is as an adult.
Yeah, you just gotta bless it.
Yeah,
you just gotta Reiki charge it.
Totally.
Reiki charges those hamburgers.
And then I guess what we were talking about before is like when you get signs and you just know that they're signs, is probably considered claircognizance. It's just like this inner knowing that something was meant for you, that 11:11 that you saw on the clock was meant for you, or that bird you saw was meant for you. You know, there's just so many different things.
Yeah. I mean, such a thing that happens on the daily, and like meditation, working with science and symbols and codes, it just adds, more excitement, I think, to life. Like in the movie, The Knowing, they have like an exciting adventure because they start to pick up on these signs. They start to decode the messages of the numbers, and it's like, it's obviously a movie, so it's an entertaining plot, and sometimes people don't want to just experience that in the movie. They want to experience it in real life. And so getting into numerology, getting into finding the signs and the symbols in your everyday life is just so powerful. So I encourage all of you to look into it, try it out for yourself, see if you like it, or if you don't, or experiment. That's what we're here for, to experiment and see what we like.
You gotta test and play with that skill and see how you want to communicate with spirit. There's lots of different ways. It's just a matter of how you're going to be willing to accept it, because like we said at the beginning, it's not a matter of if you're receiving them, it's if you're willing to accept them. And so often people will overanalyze or overthink every little thing they get, or they want more. It's not big enough. It's not like glammy enough of a sign for them. It can be all kinds of little things too. Like maybe you need something and you're curious if that's the right path. Like the other day, I'm gonna share this story because usually Mooney's listening and she'll find this funny. The other day she had to do an art project and she wasn't sure the way she wanted to do it was going to work because she didn't have some paint. And she was like, I'll still go collect the leaves, and if it's meant to be, like, the paint will manifest. And on her way walking from like where she was to the woods, she manifested paint. There was literally just like some paint laying there, nowhere near anything or anyone, and Spirit was just like, here you go.
Spirit was like, here's your sign.
And it was funny because I've been telling her for days to be more creative and to do some art things because she's so artsy. And then it was just like, bam, Mooney, I'm calling you out because I love you, and I think that you'll love it.
It's like such a solid sign that you can't even deny it. You can't even make an excuse like that. Maybe that wasn't a sign. Maybe that was just a coincidence. But like when it's that obvious, then we gotta accept that and then make a decision. Do we want to go forward with this symbol, or do we want to go against it? My friend Nick Bryce, we were both supposed to go to Hawaii together, so I'm going to call out him. And and I ended up making it, and he did not, because he decided when it was time to get on the plane in California, because we went from Michigan to California. He had his own ticket, I had my own ticket, so we went from like different places. But he went from Michigan to California and decided to stay in California because he was getting signs that he knew he needed to go to Hawaii. He was like, well, I'm going to see what happens when I don't follow the signs and symbols and see what it's like if I ignore all that stuff. So he ended up staying in California, and his life got destroyed, and he has never been the same since.
He still is always like, man, I wish I would have went on that trip.
And I'm not saying anything if it's bad or if it's good or anything like that. Like, it is what it is. It was his experience. Apparently he needed to go on that for whatever reason. But if you decide to go against the grain and go against the messages and the symbols and the signs that you're getting, just know that you're going to be in for something.
Yeah, I mean, similar situation. I know somebody who does like readings. They'll like pull readings for themselves, and they'll get like a clear sign that they're not supposed to do the thing, and then they'll go. And then like one time something happened to like the car they were in. One time, like they ended up not being able to get back to where they wanted to in time. There was just like, and it's not just one person. It's just like a lot of times people I'll work with, they'll get different signs, and they'll know they're not supposed to do the thing, but then they'll do the thing and they'll be like, I knew I got that sign. Mm-hmm. So it's like Spirit is trying to communicate with us. It wants to communicate. The way I see it is that Spirit wants to communicate with us because we are having the physical experience for it, and it wants us to succeed. It wants us to experience joy. Like, as much as we experience hardship and frustration and like the double-edged sword that is like the yin and yang of good and bad, Spirit, the good spirits, like the god, like the goddess spirits that are those that we typically like respect, they want to see us succeed. Like the angels, our spirit guides, all these entities that we connect with and want to connect with, they want to see us succeed, and they want to be able to live that joyous physical experience through us, because not all spirits and entities get to be human. It's a blessing to be a human. It doesn't always feel like a blessing. Many of us feel frustrated and like aggravated that we're here in this physical form when it seems like there's so much more out there. Mm-hmm. But there's other entities that wish they got to have this experience. And then there's entities that have kind of extended beyond the physical as we know it and have a different perception. And they're trying to like school us. Like, that's why we hear so often that Earth is a school and we're supposed to be learning. And one of the things that I think that we're supposed to be learning is how to accept the signs and symbols and the guidance. It's like your higher self is playing the video game of life, and it's trying to give you the clues, and you're like trying to do all these side missions. And it's like, no, bro, like you can do this. And we're giving you like this map. We're giving you all of these spiritual animals and guides and tips and tools and the binary code. Mm-hmm. But sometimes, some people just like to play off grid and like just run around the map for a while and not follow the signs in the game plan. That's okay too.
I mean, I do love the games where you can run around and do side quests, or even just kind of whatever, like play around.
That's why we're able to have free will as humans.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to bash my friend Nick too hard. I get signs and symbols, and I too have a struggle, an inner struggle. But saying to myself and to anybody who's willing to listen, in those moments, maybe we take a breath and really think about what this action we're about to take, what that will look like for the next few hours, for the next few days, and make a decision based off of what we think would bring us the most joy or make us just feel the best health, the best finances, whatever it might be. That's what I hope.
Yeah, and you can ask for signs and guidance on all kinds of things. And again, there's different energy frequencies you can tune into. It's like a radio. You can tune in and ask for signs and frequencies from the angels, or maybe you want more personal guides. Maybe you want your ancestors or a loved one that passed over. Maybe you want a direct line to God or spirit. You know, it's like how you want to tune your radio and what energy frequency you want to work with the most. And some people get so good at it that we can just switch our frequencies here and there. Like sometimes I'll want to talk with angel energies and I'll ask for signs from them. And then other times I want to connect with like my mom or my grandma or even more like my higher self. So like play with it. Learn how you communicate with different energies and how you want to communicate. Maybe you want just reminders that something's out there cheering you on. Maybe you want to know that your spiritual family is doing well. Sometimes I'll just be like, I don't know what's going on beyond this physical realm, and from the messages I get from them, they seem like it's okay, but sometimes I just get this feeling and I want to know that their spirit is okay. And I'll be like, hey mom, can you just like give me a sign? And it'll be like on a walk that day I'll see a cardinal, or like I'll check in with my grandfather and just be like, hey, can you give me a sign that like so-and-so is going to be okay or whatever? And then I'll see like a deer or a whole herd of them in my field every now and then. And I'm just like, okay, the whole family showed up to be like, yeah, it's all good. Mm-hmm. So it's comforting to have those signs. At least it is for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like the guideposts, in the game when you go off, you kind of get lost. And so to have that guiding post to bring you back to the main mission is really nice. It kind of maybe allows us the freedom to go around and play for a while, because then we'll have a way back or a way to that path that we're supposed to walk.
Definitely. And some people just don't know how to find that path or to find that connection. And my suggestion for you is to meditate. And I don't mean meditate as in like you just have to sit still. Like maybe you want to do a writing meditation.
Don't procrastinate, meditate.
Yeah, like sometimes I can't sit still and talk to my guides. Sometimes I write them letters and wait for them to write back, like automatic writing. Sometimes I'll meditate and I will like go to sleep and ask for them to show me messages in my dreams, or while I'm like doing a morning meditation, or I'll be like, okay, I'm going to hop in the shower. Anything that needs to like telepathically download, give me a sign. And sometimes like then I'll just be like, okay, I'm going to do this thing if I see a yellow butterfly. That seems to be a common one that we like to use, is a yellow butterfly. Mm-hmm. And you can just speak with spirit and tell it how you want to see the signs and symbols a lot too. So don't be afraid to meditate. Try it out. Try different forms of it. Maybe you'll get your messages while you dance or while you draw or who knows what. Maybe at the end we can do like a little quick check-in with our guide meditation. I don't know if you have one of those or if we can just lead one impromptu.
We can have a spirit guide meditation. I don't know if I have one that, it's not to check in. It might be to meet them, if that's what you're asking for, because I have that one.
We'll see what is being guided. Maybe we can just lead one after the energy check-in. Cool.
Are you doing a reading then?
Yeah, if we can take another moment here, we'll get cozy. We'll do a little energy reading, and Sela's got the solar flare update, and we'll do a little meditation.
I'm just going to take a break here real quick for a few minutes, play a little bit of music, and we'll be right back. All right. Apparently, Shannon's telling me these things. Okay, so the solar flare update. I'm excited, and I'm about to tell you why. But first, we have a solar wind speed right now of... Where's the number? The number disappeared on me. Okay, it's about 200 kilometers per second right now. So not too much happening. Okay, there it is. 296. Still not too high. Everything's all right. Wind speed's fine. We're going to have some aurora, but it won't be too crazy. So the exciting news that I have is we've been having very consistent solar flares since our last update, which was a few weeks ago. And specifically on the 11th, we had one of the longer durations of a C-class solar flare, which is a common solar flare, but it was a really long one on 11/11, which is very, interesting to me, very powerful to me. So it's exciting to see that the solar activity is continuing to, ramp up. It's a beautiful thing to be able to watch a solar flare erupt. So Google that and check it out. We're going to continue to see. Shannon can see the picture of the burst happening on 11/11. Yeah, so cool. Anyway, we're going to continue to see our solar activity ramp up. We probably will start seeing some M-class flares here in the next few months, within the next year, and it will continue to ramp up. So we'll continue to watch that and give you guys as many updates as we can. So thanks for listening to the solar flare update. I'm going to pass it over to Shannon Shine.
He remembered to unmute me, guys. This is great.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So go ahead, get comfortable. I'm going to do this reading into a little meditation. I actually used my light oracle deck like I've been using on the podcast, and I pulled a card I think we've pulled recently. And if not, it's one that keeps showing for me, and it's called Whispers. And this message says, your mind and heart are expanding to hear your soul's whispers. You are or will soon find it easier to interpret and understand the vibes of your soul through how you feel. Open the door to the soul's whispers by feeling appreciative. Close the door by feeling judgmental. These messages are always there, even if you are not receiving them. Practice feeling soul vibes to clarify your intuition and psychic senses. Just like we know a dog can hear the sounds we can't, your intuition interprets waves and impulses outside of your conscious awareness. This card is also prompting you to take notice of your dreams, and when you are asleep, you cease conscious thought and resistance, making it easier for you to receive your actual soul's transmissions. If you embrace the messages that come through your dreams, you will invite more of the same. If you don't like a dream, see it as a sign to shift your focus and change your beliefs. Sometimes our dreams don't make sense, and that's okay. There's something being downloaded that will make sense in a future existence. This is a time that you can meditate by placing your hands on your heart. And if you haven't yet, gently close your eyes. This is a good time to slow your breathing and tune into the subtle whispers of your soul. Take this moment to think of your breath as a conduit for these sounds and symbols. Take 3 long, deep breaths right here. As you do, imagine your inner world becoming an amphitheater. It's a beautiful sacred space that translates your soul's whispers into words and thoughts. You can stand in the middle of this amphitheater and close your eyes and open your heart to the light waves and resonance of the messages around you. Take this time to really feel into if there's any signs or symbols or messages that want to come through right here, right now. If you feel guided, welcome your guides in and feel them as a connection, as a vibration of love, as a wonderful feeling. As you open your heart even further to feel the love of all of the beautiful spirits that wish to connect with you. through signs, through codes, through symbols, through synchronicity. Allow any words, thoughts, or stories to form in your mind. This is what I call a download. Things may seem insignificant, but know that they may be leading you to something bigger, to something more meaningful and satisfying, something that your higher self or your oversoul or God wants you to experience, and it's okay to go with it when it feels good, or if it feels like it's guiding you in an inspirational direction. And I want you to remember that your guides want you to succeed. They're not here to scare you. They may warn you, but they're not here to lead you to do anything that would be scary or harmful to humanity as a whole. But they will warn you and show you things and lead you places. And most of all, these signs, they can remind you that you're so loved. You're so loved by something bigger than you. Just feel into it for another moment. Is there anything that needs to come through? Are you hoping for a sign or a message about something specific? If so, set your intention right here, right now. How can Spirit show you it's listening? If you've been wanting to connect with a guide, a loved one, or a spirit of some kind, set your intention to welcome it in. Make sure you wrap yourself in a nice white light or protective shield of energy. But allow yourself to connect to something beyond just you here in this physical moment, even if it's your higher self or God. This world that we're in, it's an experience for something bigger than we can even perceive right now. The synchronicities, those meaningful moments, those feelings we get, those reoccurring visions or symbols or animals or numbers, they're leading us somewhere. And it's up to you to be willing to know what signs are meant to lead you in the right direction. Feel into that, accept it, and build your connection with Spirit. Communication takes time, just as it does with us here in the human form. But you can learn this skill. And if you're ready to do so, go ahead and take another nice deep breath. Integrate to this connection like a frequency as you fine-tune your inner radio to receive the messages that you truly deserve to guide you. When you're ready, become more mindful of the world around you. Do another nice big inhale. Integrate and exhale any stagnance as you open your eyes and join the world around you. And I'm just so grateful you're here. Thanks for participating and being a part of the Bring Me to Life community. We're so grateful for you. Mm-hmm. There's lots of cool stuff happening at bringmetolife.com that we would love for you to check out and to participate in. Mm-hmm. We forgot to do new business, but I do want to make a quick announcement that we're now available on Amazon Radio.
Mm-hmm. We're available on Amazon. That means you can say, Alexa, play the Bring Me to Life podcast.
Or you can say, or you can have her play the radio. How does she play the radio?
You say, Alexa, play the podcast, Bring Me to Life Radio.
Yeah, you just got to tell her podcast because we're signed up as a podcast. Alexa. But you can get high vibe music.
Alexa. Oh.
Yeah. As you can tell, we got ours rocking we like to have it on in the studio just for music. But
Mm-hmm.
we hope y'all enjoyed our discussion today. I would love to know how you receive signs or symbols, or maybe you have a cool story, like something that appeared in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You can share those at the Bring Me to Life community on Facebook. We would love to see you there. Just start a thread. Tell us what signs and symbols you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know you're out there, where you're
Yeah.
listening from,
Yeah.
and that you have found this frequency of love.
Yes. Well, thank you all for staying awake.
And shining on. For many of us, spirituality is just the quest to find essence or true meaning, and to really just connect with a higher consciousness.
Connecting with your spirituality is very important in this life. By becoming mindful of all of it, you can realize where you are and if that is leading you to where you want to go.
Listen to the little simple things, because it's those little simple things that are going to shift you vibrationally in such a way that will prepare you to become very intuitively minded and ready to step forward on the next part of your path.
I hope you can feel the love that's inside you, it's inside me, that connects us.
Thanks for shining on with us.